Now, there's a catfight brewing on the left, and it's not the Jasmine Crockett versus James Talarico catfight. And I say that because I believe Crockett has that one locked up. She's up in most of the polling by as much as 23 points in one poll. It's the Democrat primary for U.S. Senate in Texas. Now, this is recent polling after she won an earlier catfight against a couple of left-wing influencers who decided to try to put their thumbs on the scale for her opponent, an unknown 30-year-old ex-teacher and Presbyterian minister named James Talarico, a candidate with no charisma of his own. So, Bowen Yang of Saturday Night Live, he co-hosts a podcast called Las Culturistas with a guy named Matt Rogers. Now, last month, they ignited a catfight with Jasmine Crockett, which she won, as I mentioned. Now, these podcasters urged voters not to send money to Jasmine Crockett's Senate campaign. Now, here's the segment in question.
It's not going to be Gavin Newsom. And when any time a politician is making it too obviously about themselves, I'm already done.
We're out.
Don't waste your money sending to Jasmine Crockett. Do not do it.
I must agree.
Don't do it. You're going to waste your money.
Now, they were forced to apologize and walk back their comments because, as I mentioned, Jasmine Crockett won that catfight. I have to observe here, though, that just last week she lost a confrontation against our U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi during the recent hearing on the Epstein files release, when Pam Bondi confronted Jasmine Crockett with facts and Crockett lost her composure. She began literally screaming and went off the rails. Now, you can watch my earlier video about that, but on the campaign trail, Crockett's been very different. She doesn't seem to lose her composure when she's campaigning, not that I've seen. This is a politician with 9 lives. Speaking of catfights, now, I don't know who the Republican nominee will be in November, either the incumbent John Cornyn or current Texas AG Ken Paxton. I don't know why Democrats are fighting so hard to defeat Crockett in the primary. I believe she has a much stronger chance than Talarico of defeating the Republican. But back to the podcast. I noticed that they were so careful to put down Gavin Newsom before putting down Jasmine Crockett. We all heard that. Must be part of the playbook, because James Talarico used a strategy from that playbook last month when allegedly he told an influencer off the record that he thought Colin Allred was a quote-unquote mediocre black man. Now, Allred had dropped out of the Democrat primary, and Talarico told the influencer he was upset that Allred had dropped out because now his opponent is Crockett, whom Talarico called a formidable, intelligent black woman. Well, I can't read people's minds, of course. I don't know why Talarico said that to an influencer, unless he wanted the message out there. But like I said, I'm not a mind reader. Now, in my view, his political instincts are catastrophically bad. Now, the left wing disagrees with me, though, apparently, because Talarico went on The View. It didn't help with his polling. He's down for the count, in my view. Now, the only impact from his appearance on The View was that the FCC opened an investigation into The View for potential violations of the equal time rule. Now, The View operates under the ABC TV network's broadcast license. Bona fide news programs operating under a broadcast license are exempt from the rule requiring equal time for political candidates because broadcast licenses require licensees to operate within the public interest. So the law prohibits broadcasters from putting their thumb on the scale for a political candidate by denying their opponent equal time on the airwaves. Now, it's different, for example, with podcasts because there's no broadcast license requiring that they operate in the public interest. So, presumably the audience knows that digital programming such as podcasts can reflect bias and personal opinion. That's within the law. But for shows on network TV, left-wing media bias has ignited a controversy. Jimmy Kimmel and Saturday Night Live, for example, they do so much political lampooning, always with the left-wing bias. Now, potentially those types of shows could be drawn into the FCC investigation into The View because they don't provide equal time to candidates. And not to be outdone, Stephen Colbert, who's already been fired by CBS for low ratings, he's waded into the controversy. As I've said on this channel repeatedly, anytime anyone's fired, insubordination is a factor. Now, Colbert was supposed to bring ratings to his network, for example. That was his job description. Instead, he became a mouthpiece for the left wing, and his ratings sank. He refused to take direction from the network, in other words, and he was fired. Now, his show is running on fumes through the end of May, but he goes and tapes an interview with James Talarico, and here's the controversy. Colbert says he was forced to pull the interview after a spat with CBS lawyers about the equal time rule. He even went on the air to blame CBS for pulling the interview. But is that the truth? Maybe, maybe not, according to Jasmine Crockett. Let's watch.
We actually received a phone call, and that was a little bit earlier today. And in that call, they explained that they actually told CBS that they could go ahead and move forward with the interview of James Talarico. They just needed to offer me equal time. I did not get a request from the Colbert Show to go on. As you know, I've been on Colbert multiple times. And frankly, if we would have gotten an offer, that would have been great. But we're in the middle of early voting. So I'm kind of focused on being in Texas at this moment. I don't know what to believe, that's for sure. But I got that phone call as I was out talking to voters.
Now, as we're aware, Colbert's interview with James Talarico wasn't broadcast. Instead, it was shown on YouTube because digital media isn't subject to the equal time rule. Now, early voting is underway in the Texas primaries. Will Stephen Colbert tape an interview with Jasmine Crockett and show it on YouTube? Now, if he doesn't, it would suggest that he is putting his thumb on the scale for James Talarico. In other words, the Democrats are all in, trying to win that seat and shift the balance of power in the Senate ever so slightly, but they may have miscalculated placing their bets on Talarico instead of Crockett. So the playbook may be played out this time. Now, every time her party tries to put the quash on Jasmine Crockett, she rises up in the polls. Now, I don't know if the votes are there in Texas for any Democrat to win the general election. So what they're doing to Crockett now seems vicious for no reason, mindless in the amount of harm it's doing to their public image. What they're doing is wrong, even if they had a chance of winning, which they don't, in my view. Now, Talarico already has lost the Presbyterian minister goodwill he brought into the campaign. That's gone, okay? He's shown that he's a vicious cage fighter. Maybe he thinks that's good for his image. Well, so did Kamala Harris. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.